Okay, so today we're adding and subtracting rational expressions. It's the last thing we're going to learn before our quiz. The quiz is on Monday. Tomorrow's a review work day. When we're adding rational expressions, we need to make sure they have the same denominator. So I need to take a look at all of my denominators that I'm adding and then make sure that each factor appears in both fractions. So if I take a look at my first one, I have an x minus 3 on the first fraction and a 3x plus 4 on the second fraction. So to make this denominator the same, I want to multiply both the top and the bottom by 3x plus 4. I multiply the top and the bottom by this, so I'm really just multiplying by 1. Then I want to multiply my numerator, so I have 3x times x, which will give me 3x squared. 4 times x will give me 4x. And my denominator, I'm going to leave factored. So it's going to stay 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. On the second one, since I have a minus sign in between it, I want to change this sign to positive and move that negative to my 2 so I don't forget about it. Then I also want to multiply by the missing factor on this one, which is x minus 3, and I'm going to do it to the top and bottom. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 3, positive 6. And then on the denominator, that's going to stay factored. So I have 3x plus 4 times x minus 3. Then I want to go ahead and combine like terms on my numerator. So I just have 3x squared because I have nothing to combine it with. For my middle term, I have 4x and negative 2x. So that gives me 2x. And then I just have the 6 at the end. It's still over the factored denominator. Okay, so next I want to check to see if I can factor my numerator. So if I use the AC method, I would take 3 times 6, which gives me 18. And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to positive 18 and add up to positive 2. Two numbers that multiply to positive 18 and add to positive 2. No. 18 came from the 3 times 6. Okay, so I can't factor it anymore, and that is my final answer. Okay, so what I want you guys to do right now is, we'll come back to number 2, but I want you to take a few minutes to work on number 3, and then we'll come back to 2. Okay, so on number 2, This one I want to go ahead. It's adding, but if I take a look at my denominators, I can factor these a little bit before I get started. So I am going to do that. On my first denominator, I can pull out a 2. So I'm going to have x minus 4 in parentheses, because I divided both of those terms by 2. Okay. Then on my second term, I also can pull out a 2 from my denominator. So I'm going to have 2x plus 2. Okay. Then I want to look at what I'm missing from this one. So it already has a 2 and an x minus 4. I still need the x plus 2 on this denominator. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom here by x plus 2. So for my first term, when I multiply those together, I have 3 times x gets me 3x. 3 times 2 gets me 6. The denominator is going to stay factored. Okay. Then on my second term, this one is missing the x minus 4. So I'm going to multiply my numerator and denominator by x minus 4. Okay. So 1 times x minus 4 is x minus 4. My denominator is going to stay the same and factored. 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 2. Okay. Then I can combine like terms on my numerator. So I have 3x plus x, which gets me 4x. 6 minus 4 gets me 2. On my denominator, it stays factored. Then I want to see if I can factor my numerator. I can. I can pull out a 2. So I'm going to have, oops, that should be 2x. When I pull out that 2, I have 2x plus 1 left. And my denominator stays the same. I cancel anything out? The 2 2's. So I am just left with 2x plus 1 over x minus 4, x plus 2. And I don't have to write a domain restriction here because I didn't cancel out anything with an x. So if it's just numbers that I'm canceling out, I don't have to write a domain restriction. Okay, so the last thing we're going to go over is when we're adding and subtracting 3 fractions. I want to, just like before, make sure all my denominators are factored, and then I want all 3 fractions to have the terms being multiplied. So my first fraction, I can't simplify anymore, so I'm going to leave that alone. The second fraction, I'm going to change this to a positive sign and move that negative to go with the 2. And then my last fraction, I can factor that denominator. So I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 1 and adds to 0. This is negative 1 and positive 1. Then I want to look for which each fraction is missing. So this one already has an x minus 1, but it still needs an x and an x plus 1. So I'm going to multiply it by x times x plus 1. Okay, then in the middle, I'm looking for what factors this fraction is also missing on the bottom. I'm missing the x minus 1 and the x plus 1. Okay, and then on the last one, I'm just missing an x. Okay. So I want to go ahead and multiply. So for my first one, I'm just going to multiply 2 of the factors at a time. So I'm going to multiply x and 3 to get 3x, and then I'm going to leave the x plus 1 for now. I'll come back to that later. The denominator is going to stay factored. Okay. Then for my second term, I'm going to multiply the two factors in red together because I know that multiplied together they gave me x squared minus 1. I'll leave that in parentheses, and I'm still multiplying by negative 2. My denominator is staying x times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Then I want to do the same thing for my last one, except I only have two factors to multiply together. So I'm going to get x times x gets me x squared. 3 times x gets me 3x. On my denominator, I'm going to have x times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and multiply my factors on the numerator of the first fraction. So I have 3x times x will give me 3x squared. 3x times 1 gets me 3x. Denominator stays the same. On the second fraction, I'm multiplying negative 2 by x squared to get negative 2x squared. Negative 1 times negative 2 gets me positive 2. Denominator stays the same. Okay. Then my last fraction stays the same because I don't need to multiply anything here. Okay, then I want to combine like terms. So I have 3x squared, negative 2x squared, and x squared. 2x squared. I have 3x and 3x. 6x. And then just a 2. My denominator is going to stay the same. Can I factor my numerator? Okay, what can I do? Take out a 2, and then I'm left with x squared plus 3x plus 1 over x times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Can I cancel, oh wait, can I factor the stuff in parentheses anymore? On my numerator? No, nothing multiplies to 1 and adds to 3. Can I cancel anything out? No. So this is my final answer. Questions here?